The Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at the table with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus' feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse and used to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
You may be seated. I am about to do a new thing. Do you not perceive it? I don't think it's a coincidence that the Sunday before Holy Week, we read this from the prophet Isaiah. God is about to do a new thing. New things are happening all the time. Change happens and loss happens, and when they do, it's new. Even the seasons show the promise of new life. In the change from the bleakness of winter to the growth of new life in spring. And how we respond and how we react to God during the times of newness and change makes the difference. During times of change, even good change, we experience many emotions. In life, we have to acknowledge the pain, loss, hurt, joy, sorrow, confusion, or any of the other wide range of emotions that we experience. One of the gifts of being human is that we have emotions to process. We can be both excited for a new experience and sad that life is changing. We can be both confused with what the next step is to take and grateful to be able to continue to take these steps. If we don't sit with our emotions and perceive how they are showing up in our bodies, they can take over us. And instead of helping us connect with God and with community, our reactions might come out sideways. I want to be very clear here. We need to take time to process our feelings. We should not shy away from them. Unfortunately, Western culture isn't designed for this. We are uncomfortable with grieving, and we don't know how to let others be in their feelings and just sit with them and be present. We don't make space for the both and in life. More on both and in a minute. In our gospel reading from John, Mary is preparing for the death of Jesus. She has perceived the new thing that is about to be done. Unlike some of the other disciples, she has been listening to Jesus when Jesus mentions that he won't always be with them. Mary is anointing Jesus' body and preparing for his death. This was a cultural tradition of the time. It was part of the natural grieving process. Judas tries to vilify Mary by shaming her use of an expensive perfume to anoint Jesus. Even though he had no care for the poor, he tried to make Mary feel guilty for using the perfume instead of selling it and giving the money to the poor. Maybe this was Judas being uncomfortable with grief and trying to hurry the process along. Jesus defended Mary and told Judas to leave her alone. And then Jesus says a famous line which has often been twisted around by people who don't think there is any reason to help those who are poor. He says, "You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." Theologians believe Jesus was making a nod to Deuteronomy 15:11 about the year of Jubilee, where every 7 years debts were forgiven. Now, wouldn't that be nice? The verse says, "Since there will never cease to be some in need on earth, I therefore command you, open your hand to the poor and needy in your land." This text was used as a challenge from God. So by Jesus referencing the poor, it was more of a reminder that there will always still continually be work to do even after he's gone. And it's also okay to take the time right now to process the new thing that's about to be done. Jesus was saying it's okay to both be sad and know that there's still more to come, more work to be done after he died. Life is not black or white, good or bad, either or. Life is a both and. This was an important lesson that I learned in seminary, or at least for me it finally stuck when I was in seminary. Maybe I learned it before that. As a mostly black or white thinker, an either or thinker, I really value and appreciate the people in my life who are more of a both and thinker. There are more than two solutions to a problem, even though I struggle to see that sometimes. We can experience major highs and incredible lows all in one day. We can have abundance in our lives and still give to the poor. We can have faith in God and still ask questions as we grow in our faith. And Mary is modeling the both and of life, and Jesus is reminding us of it. Both situations can be true at one time, and just because one part is happening doesn't make the other any less true. A couple weeks ago, I came across this quote on Facebook. It says, "When you light another's candle, you lose nothing of your own, you just produce more light." When you light another's candle, you lose nothing of your own, you just produce more light. To me, this is the perfect visual of both and. Either or thinking would have us believe that if we share something of ourselves, we lose it or we have less. Or that if we support one thing, it makes another belief less valuable or true. Either or thinking wants us to believe that some people are good and others are bad. That there are only two options, two ways of living, two belief systems, that one is right and the other is wrong. Both and thinking makes room for multiple factors to be true at the same time. It acknowledges the varied emotions we experience in life. It makes room for the fact that just because we believe one thing, it doesn't negate another belief that we also have. We can experience more than one feeling at the same time. Here are just a few examples. We can give to those in need and still have enough for ourselves. We can support LGBTQ+ rights and still also care deeply about refugees, climate change, homelessness, and food insecurity. We can be happy for a friend who just had a baby while also grieving the death of a loved one. We can be Christians and still support those of other religions. One thing does not lessen the concern or the validity of the other. When you light another's candle, you lose nothing of your own. You just produce more light. Life is difficult and beautiful. We can be excited and scared at the same time. It can be warm outside and really windy like it was a couple of days ago. There can be blue skies and rain at the same time. Creation is full of both and we are part of creation. We are full of both and. I pray that you live into the both and of life. When someone, or yourself, is trying to have you see the either or, pause and analyze if it's actually a both and. There isn't always the perfect answer in life. Make room to light someone else's candle. And don't worry, you won't lose any of your light in the process. God is about to do a new thing, and God has done so many new things already. Do you perceive it? You're invited to stand as you're able and let us join together in the Apostles' Creed.